Put a put a one in the chat if God be showing out in your life, because I know he be showing out in mine, y'all. What's up? Let me see some ones for this thankful morning. I'm grateful everybody here. What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? Hey, shout out Amber for being the first one in this thing. You know what I'm saying? She was on time today. Usually my ass ain't even on time opening up this thing. So shout out y'all being here. Truly, I appreciate everybody. As y'all know, 10:30 Central Standard Time each and every single Saturday, give or take 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna be live on this thing. But in that, y'all, I'm excited because this book, man, it has truly been one of one. Getting to honestly go through this together has been life changing. As I've been going through this season, I know for a fact in my life it's been wild. So I'm willing to bet, you know what I'm saying? Because I've been here for all these book club calls. It's been wild for y'all too. So I'm excited to hear everybody else's honestly take on chapter 13, 14, and 15. We about to map this thing out and shut it down. I'm excited. So hit up them text messages with everybody who's been here throughout the process and see if they come in this weekend. Because it's gonna be that day, honestly, if you could just invite somebody brand new to the call. This will be that day that somebody hops on here and they might hear one thing that changes their entire paradigm. So shout out the squad. Appreciate y'all. Who would like to kick us off this morning? Any takers? It's popping, everybody. I seen Amber getting ready. She cut her camera off. My man Marcus moving and grooving. Fresh cut. What's up,
I
Justin?
go first.
Well, ladies first it is. Solo lady on the call today. What's up, girl?
You know, we're out here leading, and that kicks us off to chapter 13, the law of modeling. I really, really like that law, and I'm really grateful for John C. Maxwell. He's very thorough in his information, and I'm grateful for his content because he really just puts names to like a bunch of the, things that we're dealing with as leaders and as community builders and as generational wealth makers, breakers, creators. And so one of the things in the chapter of modeling that just like really stuck out to me was, the importance of leading by example and, being somebody like worth following and also, questioning like who you are following. And I think that's really, really important. One thing I've learned as a leader is like the best way to lead is by example. It's easy to tell somebody what to do, tell them what you recommend, but the hardest thing is to, be an example. And I believe that's like one of the most effective ways to lead. And it's the most effective way that we like follow too, you know. A lot of times instead of listening to what people say, um, we I think he said a quote in there that Marcus always says, something like, don't listen to what people say, watch how they move. Something like that. Right? Or like watch their feet. But yeah, like don't pay attention to the words, pay attention to how they behave. And I feel like as leaders, like sometimes we really want, we get attached, like we care about people and we, want to see the best in people. And sometimes we have to learn, like, to detach and understand that everybody is going through their own progress. And the best thing that you could do is just be an example, pave the way, be a guide, and just give back the best feedback that you can from your own personal experience. And so that was a lot that I got from the chapter of modeling. And that's something that I've really been big about, like, especially in this season of my life, is really like just doing that underground, like deep integrity work of just being a woman of my word, being somebody who's not just about, like, who doesn't just talk about it, but who is really, really about it. And I don't know if it was one of the chapters that he said, or maybe it was something else that I thought about recently or in the past 24 hours or something. But what was it? Something like I forgot. I completely forgot what I was gonna say. Um, what was it? Hold on, on the tip of my tongue. Being an example, leading. Oh, your gifts. Okay, so like when it comes to your gifts, okay, so one thing about me is like obviously, well, I don't know if it's obvious to me because I've like practiced it a lot, but I'm a pretty strong speaker. Like I'm pretty strong. My voice is pretty strong, and it's a gift that I have that I've been embracing for the past couple years, and it's a skill that I've been embracing. But as above, so below. Like the way I can be motivational and inspirational and empowering, I can also go the opposite end and like cut somebody down if I really, really wanted to. And so like with that being said, I feel like we all have those gifts, like we all have things about us that can make us seem, I wouldn't say better than we are, but can really like cover up. And at the end of the day, I feel like it's really about our integrity. Like I don't want to be a leader or somebody who is just motivational who is just empowering. Like I'm really about, giving actual steps that can actually help somebody in real life right now. And that's it's challenging, you know what I mean? It challenges you to your core, like to really like to have your stuff together, to have your shit together. Like for example, a part of my language, this past week or so, I was doing the most to get like all of my car situation together. Like for example, like they were gonna tow my car because my registration was out. And they're gonna tow it, and it's been out. It's been out for 4 years. I had a registration from 2021. And so I was riding around out here for the past 4 years like that. And obviously I'm covered by the grace of God, so it never got like stopped or anything. But it's just things like that where like we probably don't think it matters, but it does. You're riding around out of integrity. It's a vibration of lack, like in one way, shape, or form. Even, like it just is what it is. And I always knew that. But for a long time, if I just be honest, it was hard for me to have all of the things together. Like I needed car insurance and my car fixed and the money for inspection and the money for registration and all the time to do all these things at the same time. Okay. And so for 4 years, it was hard to get it all together. But this week, I got it together, and I turned a problem into a blessing. Because yeah, they gave me a parking violation. They're like, if you don't get this done by Friday, like we're gonna tow your car. And I was just like, well, that would just make it so much harder for me. Like, why would you do that? But then I was like, no, let me go get my stuff together. Like, I can do this. You know what I mean? Like, I can do it. So, anyways, I did it. Got my registration, registered out here, catch me whipping, rolling, riding all around town. Can't stop me. 'Cause I am legal on these streets. Um, but anyway, so that's just a simple example like that of, like when you're leading other people and people are really following you and you have, stuff like that that's out of integrity, like it does matter. It weighs on your vibration. It's a good feeling. Like I'm an adult. Okay. So that's what I got about that. And then the law of expansion and contribution, the last two chapters. The law of expansion I got, what I got from there is, obviously like to keep expanding, and I'll let y'all elaborate more on those chapters. But to continuously keep expanding and keep expanding your mind is a really, really big deal. And it's a principle that I follow and that I really, really believe in. Honestly, it's something that I'm seeing the older that I get. Like, if you do not use it, you lose it. Like, common sense and knowledge is not that common. Like, you're just not going to get it just the older that you get. Like, you have to be deliberate about the information that you're feeding yourself consistently. And, all of us, like, we're here on book club because we constantly feed ourselves. And that's why I'm grateful for these systems and for book club and for like this book and like the leaders who like pick these books, because it's a big deal. Like it's a really, really big deal to keep expanding your mind and to keep learning things that you need to learn to just continue to enjoy this life experience. And then contribution, the law of contribution. Um, just understanding that when you it talked a lot about not like seeking fulfillment, but seeking like contribution, like to contribute to other people. And I learned from my experience as well that the more that you contribute to other people, the more that you feel fulfilled. A lot of times it's the law of the universe, the law that we operate of, the law of giving and receiving. Like one thing that my mentor said it best recently, I just heard like a brand new way of looking at it, and I love it. I just been playing it in my mind. But she was like, be a woman who gives so you can be a woman who receives. And so it's just us, being givers. Like um contributing to other people in whichever way that we can. And I was talking to somebody recently, and they were saying how they wanted to be a leader, they wanted to influence other people, but they felt like they didn't have the credibility yet or the platform yet. And honestly, like just from somebody who's felt like that before, and has done the work to really build my self-confidence and like self-esteem in that. You don't need much. Like you have the internet, it's your platform, go out there. And the best leader is a person who can lead themselves. And so if you can lead yourself back to yourself, if you can lead yourself back to your practices, back to God, back to your prayer time, back to who you are, you can lead anybody else. Because again, the best way to lead is by example. And it's not like um yeah, like if you can lead yourself back to yourself, I feel like that's what makes you a leader at the end of the day. And so when we take care of ourselves and we lead ourselves back to ourselves and we be good examples and we're in full integrity with who we are and what we say, um, we contribute to other people and we feel fulfilled back. So one, two, three, bam. That's what I got from the chapters. I'm gonna popcorn it to Mateo.
Appreciate you, Amber. Appreciate you, Amber. Good morning, everybody. How we feeling? It's Saturday. I got these gorgeous eggs in front of me, but I got some pepper in my throat, so I'm gonna go get some water, and then I'm gonna spit some game for you. Okay? Give me 1 second.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
Put so much pepper in the eggs. Sorry. Sorry. Right. Invaluable laws. These chapters 13 through 15 were some of my favorite chapters, honestly, because of a couple lessons that they communicate. Can you guys hear me? Okay, perfect. Thank you, Jason. Um, yes, these laws were some of my favorite. I'm reading my notes that I took on this book on my phone, and one of the first things that I wrote down was it's hard to improve when you have no one but yourself to follow. So I've realized more and more and more throughout my life, throughout my journey, that it's a little bit of a, I don't want to say an oxymoron, but it's something of duality where you can't lead anybody unless you can lead yourself, right? But a leader that has nobody following him is just a person going on a walk, right? You have to understand that growth accelerates through mentorship, which is one thing that the law literally talks about. So learning from other people's experience is really key. When you are going through a period of time when you're trying something new for the first time, you're not going to be good at it, right? Whenever we're trying to get better at something, we're going to have to be bad first before we're good. And when you're around people who are already good at what you're trying to get good at, being good is going to become normal. That standard is already going to be set. So when you are putting yourself in an environment where growth is inevitable, it's a catalyst for your leadership to be able to come out, because you're going to be able to have that happen in yourself first, and then when anybody else new comes in, just like if we have our group, we have our family here, TGF, right? When we're out here developing our mind, body, soul, spirit, and finances, we have new people that come in who have never really maybe done stuff like this before, but that's because they a lot of the times may not have come from an environment where it was normal to improve in these ways and do these different things and have these habits, right? So when they come into an environment when where we're doing all these things, we can give them the blueprint, we can give them the honest feedback, the accountability, right? These things that you need in order to grow. Self learning is valuable, but it's limited. I was literally just talking to somebody about trading yesterday who had been trading by themselves for the past 2 years, and they've never been profitable. And I said, how can you expect to get different results if all you're doing is operating off your own information? That's crazy. Like, you have to be able to experience other things outside of yourself to grow your understanding, right? Now, when you're looking for something to follow, somebody to follow, you have to obviously be wise in your discretion. You have to look at the fruits of their labor, right? That's what it says in the Bible. By your fruits, you'll know them. So you can have direct mentors like actual people, and then you can have indirect, which are books, podcasts, like stories, or even just other people's experience that you learn from, right? Um, I've learned better and better over the years of who to look for in a mentor. It's not just about what they have, but it's really about who they are, right? Because it's more important who you work with, not what you do. So I think honestly, and this is just shout out to our leaders, like Mikhail and Marcos are some of the best mentors I've ever had in my life. And I've had a lot of different mentors that have ranged from being the only African American women who've flown the biggest plane in the Air Force. Her name was Sharon Coley. She was my mentor in like 2020, 2021, 2019. And then I had a mentor, his name was Jay Masca. He was 21 years old driving a Rolls Royce and a McLaren. And Mikhail and Marcos have blew both of them out of the water because of how much they personally care about me, with me, on my journey. And being able to model after that now for the people that I'm trying to bring in and mentor, right? Like who you are is determined by the people you spend time with and the people that you let influence you, right? Success leaves clues. This is one of my favorite. I literally had this on my Instagram on a post. Success leaves clues. You have to learn how to watch. You have two eyes, two ears, and one mouth for a reason. That's what I like to say. And then the second of the three laws, the law of expansion that we're going over. So we've talked about this before in different ways. Growth always increases your capacity. So when you're a rubber band and even your mind it has a trait that's literally called neuroplasticity. Once it's stretched, once it's formed in a new way, you can't unstretch it, which is fantastic. That's actually a really big blessing because that means that you're actually way more capable than you can even imagine. Because you can't think about how much you're going to be stretched until after you do it. Once you're exposed, you can't be unexposed. But if you've never been exposed before, you're not going to understand what that means, like what that will look like for you, right? Your capacity isn't fixed. There is no like ceiling, like a hard cap of like, oh, this you can't do, you can't go above this. My mentors back in 2020, 2019, they used to say that you should live in a glass house because it's completely transparent and people can see you live in it. And you have a glass ceiling, meaning that there is no ceiling above you that you can't just break through. And it's a mental ceiling that's actually a lot lower. I mean, bro, Jason was in the Marines. Jason could probably understand the he can definitely understand the concept that your mind will stop long before your body has to. Like your body can go way farther than what you just have to push your mental to the point where you're able to break through the mental ceiling before your body ever can. Like you think you're done stopping running, like David Goggins, bro. Like you can literally run miles on broken feet if you put your mind to the actual job, right? And that's the same thing with anything. If you think that you're mentally just done with trading, like oh I just can't, like this is impossible. Like the discipline that's involved, the patience that's involved, the capacity we have to make the decisions we make, right? We can only make a certain amount of decisions each day. That's why these CEOs wear the same shirt every day, even though it looks kind of weird and they're a little bit weird for it, right? Who wears the same shirt every day? People that have so many decisions to make, they don't have that capacity for making the decision to wear what shirt, right? Um, your emotional capacity. A lot of people have an emotional capacity. When we're in relationships, right? Something that I learned is that you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to be able to refill that capacity for yourself, but also for your partner, right? Because when they come to you and they're empty, you can't be on E2. That's not a good situation. You don't want to be in that situation with your significant other. It's never good. But that being said, the more you grow, the more you'll be able to grow. It's compound. Has anybody raise your hand or um put a one in the chat if you've ever read the book Compound, um, the Compound Effect. That's what it's called, the Compound Effect. That was literally probably the first book I ever read, personal growth wise, like outside of school, called the Compound Effect. It basically talks about how if you grow 1% every day, you're not 365% better at the end of the year. You're like 31 times better by the end of the year because 1% over time compounds, right? So the more you grow, the more you'll be able to grow. Growth is exponential. It's not linear. Just like growing your account in your trading account or your bank account, right? So you have to understand that you need momentum. And once you have momentum, you got to do everything in your power to keep it. Does that make sense? Because once you have that momentum, now you're riding off a wave that is way bigger than where you started. It's a lot harder to go from 0 to 10 than it is to go from 90 to 100. So get the momentum to start growing. And once you start, you're never going to want to stop. Last one, I'll keep it brief. The law of contribution. Growing yourself enables you to grow others, which is very true. Like I just said, you can't pour from an empty cup. So the ultimate purpose, and this is honestly like where you start to understand that there's a certain amount of servitude that has to come from growing, because the whole purpose of growth isn't to just get bigger and bigger and bigger and just start stepping on small people. It's to be able to help other people grow, right? The purpose of growth is to give it away, right? So if you're in a place where you feel like you're growing, but you're not helping people grow with you, then that's counterproductive to your growth, in my opinion. If you're growing, that growth should come from a place of servitude. It should come from a place of, oh, I'm growing. That means that I'm actually able to raise the bar for the people around me to improve with me, right? And obviously, when you grow, there's a certain amount of, like, if you have your person, right, that's like with you, this is your person. Could be your significant other, it could be your friend, it could be somebody random you found that is now in TGF with you. If you're growing, there's a space now between you and them that is a level of understanding and a level of exposure that now they have to meet you at, because you're growing, right? And they're not. If they are not able to grow with you, then naturally they're going to have to be left behind, unfortunately. Not everybody can grow at the same rate. Not everybody can grow at the same capacity at the same time, right? But we have to have the understanding and the patience, which literally is a result of the love we have to have for ourselves, because when you love yourself, you love other people that are around you, right? It all comes from a place of what's internal is now reflected outward. So when you love yourself, you will, as a result, love the people around you more. And when you love other people around you more, you'll be what is love, right? It's in Corinthians. Love is patience, love is kind, love does not envy, takes no records of wrongs, right? So when you do this for other people and yourself, then you will start to help other people naturally get to where you're going. But obviously you can't want it for them more than they do. So there does come a certain amount of personal accountability. And this is where I'm personally still learning in my journey of how to draw the line between me being a leader and helping people on their journey, right? Because like if somebody isn't growing through your leadership, what does that say about you as a leader, right? Is it because you aren't a good leader, or is it because they don't want to grow? There's a distinction that has to be made between those two things that I'm still learning personally. And this is kind of where I'll stop. But you should really just do your absolute best to help other people around you grow as a result of you growing. That should be just a natural, like, byproduct of personal development, is helping the people around you develop as well. Because it's just naturally going to happen. But I'll stop there, and I'm gonna pass this mic over to Jason. Yeah, I see you, brother.
Was good. That's crazy that you ended on that, because it perfectly, it's like an assist pass for my chapter 13. You were talking about how the levels of, like, if you're growing here and the other person is growing here, like how to help them get there. The first thing is to never confuse the giftedness of a person with a person. It's really easy to see the gifts that a person has, but if that person doesn't see the gifts that they have, then we're all just one step away from being stupid. We have to be very intentional with the people that you actually want to mentor or you're being mentored by, because you can see a lot into a person and a lot into an individual. Let's look at a person that you know from like high school, someone who was like stupid good at basketball or like baseball or football, right? But they never really put that gift to its full potential. You see what I mean? It's just like they had all these gifts and people look at the gift and they forget the person. They're like, this guy is really gifted, but at the same time, he doesn't doesn't have that personal development to actually go and fulfill the purpose that his gifts has. You know what I mean? And a lot of it stems from great things happen from when we stop seeing ourselves as God's gifts to others and begin seeing others as God's gifts to us. And I do see it. I think it was Amber that said it, like having a lot of fulfillment and doing a lot of things for others. It's true. This past week, I have been like super profitable in trading. And let me tell you, it's cool, but I have been super happy seeing other people like take my trades and my ideas and be successful in them. Like I have more happiness in that. I don't know why, but I think it's just because that's the way God set it up. But I love seeing people win. I love seeing people, and I knowing that I had a little bit of an influence in that, right? And then this right here, the last for chapter 13, Mateo, you're a G for calling out Marcus and Mikhail for this, because knowledge without support is sterile, right? Advice without friendship feels cold. You ever talk to somebody and then like you're not really close to them, but then they try to give you advice and immediately you kind of feel like you need to defend yourself for your actions. You know what I'm saying? Like it can feel cold. You know what I mean? And then candor without care is harsh. That's what I mean. Like growth comes from both the head and heart. Only supportive people are willing to share both with you. It's really easy to talk to people about what you know and things like that. But at the same time, it's harder to talk to people about what you've been through. Right. And Marcus and Mikhail do a really good job at that, because I have heard really big things from Mikhail and Marcus that we've spoken about like on personal levels. And I've spoken about it on them. Shoot, I think it was just last week I had a call with Mikhail late at night. You know what I'm saying? Him, Tia, were there.
And you guys put almond milk in this? And
we had a really good conversation, and that just lets you know that like they're leading from the head and heart. You know what I mean? And that's what I got for chapter 13. But chapter 14, the potential that exists within us is limitless and largely untapped. When you think of limits, you create them. And there's been many times to where like, I know everybody has been through this, and I want to call y'all out if you haven't. When you wrote down your goals, there was a little head in your mind that said, can I actually do this? Can I actually do this? And the moment that you start asking, can you, and instead of how can I, that's whenever you start creating these doubts and these limits in your head, because now you have a thought process of doubt and not faith, right? But it's important for this key thing. Learning is discovering that something is possible. It's like when you first learn that you can swim. Like when you get in the water, like, and you never swam before, it's scary because you're like, yo, this is my equalizer. This thing can literally kill me if I go under it. You know what I mean? But then when you get in and then you start paddling and you start swimming, you start seeing all the possible ideas. I can go tubing, I can go swimming, I can go jump off this rock into the water, and like I can start doing other things that like doesn't limit me because I'm learning. Right. And you can pass that to anything in life. You can, like on the charts, I learned that I could actually look at a chart. I learned that I could actually read a chart. You know what I'm saying? With these books, I learned that I could actually get through a book without just getting pissed off and be like, I don't really want to read this. You know what I mean? Like it's possible to actually do that. And this is a big one. I am always doing what I cannot do in order to learn how to do it. You don't know how many times I've seen people say no before even trying something. And I have been a product of that in my early ages, like something that I just didn't see myself doing, or I didn't think it was valuable at the time. I didn't even want to learn how to do it. And that's where I slowed my progress down as a person, right? And this one right here, this is my favorite part on chapter 14. And I seen this in a show that I was watching. I seen this in the book I was reading. And it was this. Life is a great big canvas, and you should throw all the paint on it you can. And I know he says something about it, how it should be a little bit more like this, but I want you to do this. Visualize a blank canvas, right? Let's think of a blank wall in your house, right? Most of the people have a full blank canvas, and they're not throwing paint on their wall. Instead, they're going to the corner of the wall, and they're painting only in one section. That's how most people's lives are. They're painting in one little corner, right? And then instead of just sitting back, they think that they only have that amount of space. But when you just bird's eye view, you see how big of a canvas, aka life, has to actually offer. You know what I mean? And a lot of people just focus on one spot and throw paint and throw paint and throw paint, and then forget that they have all this possibilities out there that they can scatter paint on. You know what I mean? And that's like a really big take that I took for 14. And for 15, it's short and sweet. My progress in personal growth also opens doors for others. I really mean it when I said, if it wasn't for me, Mateo, Sam, and all of us sitting on those Zooms at 2 a.m. just to wake up at 7:30, just to do it all again on Asia, I wouldn't have been able to open doors for each other. We wouldn't have been able to open doors for each other because we're not personally developing ourselves. And whenever we're not like focused on our own selves, we limit what we can bring to others, and we lower our value. And that's on you. You know what I mean? That's on you as an individual. No one can tell you, hey, you need to be up on the charts, or like, hey, you need to come on these things, or like, hey, you need to read your book. You know what I'm saying? That's literally up to you. And when you don't do it, you limit what you can bring to the table. And that's not fair to others, because others are doing it. And whenever you choose not to do it, you know what I mean? It's just unfair. You know what I mean? So think of yourself as a river instead of a reservoir. That's my last thing on chapter 15, is to think of yourself as a river instead of a reservoir. Everybody knows what a reservoir is, right? A reservoir is just a big body of water that's kind of contained. It has no like streams, it has no creeks, it has no runoff, it has none of that. So you're just kind of like, think of it like a bank account, just saving it for no reason. Nothing to do with it, no investments, no anything, right? So you have to think of yourself as a river, because rivers flow and they have creeks and they run off into the ocean. They go for bigger streams, or they'll break through stuff, right? Erosion, and just create a different pathway. And that's what we need to be as peoples constantly. And the only way to do that is to truly dive into your personal growth, treat others as God's gift to you instead of you as God's gift to them. And then you'll truly, you know what I'm saying, start to.
Say that again. Say that again.
What was that?
Say that again for the people in the back. Boy, that was a bar.
You need to learn how to treat other people as God's gift to you instead of you as God's gift to others. Because then you'll start seeing a little bit different. You know what I mean? And knowing that you do really need people. You do really need people. You know what I mean? So that's what I had from this take. Appreciate the time. Thank you so much for the space. I know Amber has went. Mateo has went. Marcus, have you went, brother?
No, I can go. And then, what's up, y'all? One, I appreciate all the value, and the love. I genuinely do. It's really dope, when you just honestly get from a space of like your intention, heart posture, um, and you never fully understand like the real significance of the impact that you can make in other people's lives if you just show up to serve, and not seeking a transactional relationship. It's more of a genuine, authentic connection that establishes a lifelong relationship. Transactional is surface level, and there's a lot of transactional relationships, and unfortunately, marriages and friendships, especially in business partnerships as well. So having a level of intention that aligns with a lot of the principles that get taught in the book, but were really specifically brought up through 13, 14, and 15, was just really confirmational. I feel grateful. And I am glad for the space that we find ourselves in, and the experiences and the situations that have taken place to get us to where we're at today. As I was reading these chapters, I was just very reflective over my journey and reminding myself of key principles that have gotten me to have a level of progression and growth, but it's going to help me take it to another level as we go and serve more people and really improve our efficiency of not only our systems and operations, but how people lead people, how people treat people, how people grow with people. Because at the end of the day, it don't matter what industry you're in or what you got going on, everything is relational. And I think that's the most important part that people forget to understand and comprehend. And John C. Maxwell, the reason why he leads with so much intention in his writings is because he got around people that understood that concept and constantly told him those things. From, he brought up John Wooden, or excuse me, yeah, Coach Wooden. and how he led in basketball to individuals like Andrew Carnegie, and Zig Ziglar. You know what I'm saying? Mentors that he learned from in person as well as through writings, audios, and seminars. So, one, we're all doing the things. I think at the end of the day, it's not just what you do, it's how you do it and why it's being done. And if you understand those two aspects, it doesn't matter when, and it doesn't matter what it is that you're actually doing, you're going to benefit those with the gifts that you have been given. And I think that's the overall concept that was like ringing in my brain. I'm just grateful because if you know those two things, everything else will line itself up. And have you ever heard that saying, when the mentee is ready, the mentor will appear? Type of vibe. I always understand we're in a different level or different season when we get around higher caliber people. It first happened when I got introduced to this industry. I met a guy by the name of um, what was it? Okay, so I met a guy by the name of Tracy Kocha. First dude that honestly expanded my mindset. He was a mentor to myself, to Shelby, and Amber. But in the process, we got to learn a lot of the things to do and also what not to do through seeing and observing his leadership and his organization. And then from there, I started growing and developing from events and seminars, seeking individuals' advice and understanding. I think one of the biggest parts that I don't believe anybody's touched on yet from chapter 13 is that like you have to seek the mentorship that will best help you get to the next level. It's important to have guidance and understanding and perspective and vision from the CEOs and the people that are running it at a higher level. But he said it clearly, the biggest benefit to you is to go and find people that are a level or two above you because they have the most frequent experience, the most recent experience that'll help you get to where you want to go. He says, hold on, where was it at? I highlighted it. 1 second, fam. Okay, but overall, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't go seeking the advice from CEOs, or if you're trying to learn and play the cello, you don't need to be mentored by Yo-Yo Ma. And most people are like, but why wouldn't I start with the best? Why shouldn't I go and actually hit up the CEO? And he says, um, spend the majority of your time being mentored by people who are available, willing. And as you progress in your development, find new mentors for your new level of growth. Because if all you have to follow is yourself, you're going to be running around in circles. And what's really cool is like at every level, the mentor will appear. So as soon as I got into Secret, and I felt like my growth had been capped. The people around me were gone, and I had an avenue. I did not know how to utilize the vehicle I had access to in order to get the results I was always seeking. And then, boom, I met Mikhail Steele. That unlocked in a different way of thinking that helped me grow and develop and how to develop into systems, how to be more intentional with community building that leads to retention, and really put the pieces of the puzzle together. But even as Mikkel and I started working together and growing together, and our relationship went from mentor mentee to business partners to best friends and brothers, there's only so much that we can get to because of the level that we have both achieved, either individually or collectively. And then we met a guy by the name of AB, and AB honestly unlocked a whole nother level of standard in terms of how we operate in business, period, not just in the vantage point of an organization, but in every aspect of what we're trying to accomplish with the big vision that we want to create within why TGF got even started. You know what I'm saying? And everything came back to us understanding who are we listening to and why we should actually follow them. I think one of the biggest bars from this chapter is he said that like one of the main keys to finding a good mentor and who to follow is not only if they are a worthy example, but if they are accessible. Like, are they available? For us to be able to observe models up close and see what they do, we must have some contact with them. That requires access and availability. For us to be actively mentored, we must have time with people to ask questions and learn from their answers. Many of their mentoring questions are stimulated by my actions, not my words. That thought humbles me because I know at times I fall short of the ideals and values that I teach. As I have often said, my greatest leadership challenge is leading me. And the reason why those two parts go together in that same type of concept is because access is not a privilege, it is earned. I think people get it completely twisted, and it honestly, it's one of the most annoying parts of leadership. Is like you think because you have access to the internet that you deserve access to everybody's time, and I've seen pride and ego get in the way from high value individuals developing collaborative partnerships in business because of ego, because of pride, in the aspect of you feel like you deserve more than you actually do. And at the end of the day, if the visions align and the mentor is where you're trying to go and can give you access with the time they have available, you have to earn their time. Like even today, Mikhail and I talk about how, hey, bro, if we're going to actively make progress and influence here, we got to produce. Holding ourselves accountable first before we talk to anybody about production. Because what type of leader would we be, right? Having and leading other people to talk about the activity and the mindset that needs to occur despite what situations or circumstances you're in, if you are not modeling that alone. And I think that is the main reason why the head is heavy for the one that wears the crown, and that leadership is for the ones that choose, not the chosen few. Because you have to choose to carry a burden that honestly is so extremely difficult to carry on your own. And that's why like I really do rely on my strength in Christ. I can't do it on my own at the type of level of influence that I need to. I've tried that before and I've literally drawn myself crazy and I've stretched myself in. The only reason why I'm able to operate and create higher levels of business partnerships and come at it with a different perspective than I had previously is because of previous mentorship and understanding what am I doing to make sure that I'm in the room in the conversations and deserving and earning the accessibility, right? If you have the access to, why wouldn't you earn the opportunity of receiving that mentorship, right? God will show you the room, but sometimes you're not supposed to run into the room. You're supposed to analyze it. And if he gives you the go, there's so many people who just look at the room and they never actually move, right? And if you see the opportunity to actually gain more mentorship, I believe that is the key to unlocking everything, right? Your network is your net worth. A lot of these things are taught throughout ages of finances and wealth. And when I think about growth as an individual and it being a high priority in my life, personally becoming better than I was yesterday, 1% better, as Mateo was saying, compounding over time, it's literally happened in my life. I'm just focused on how can I improve from what I've done yesterday, last week, last month, so that I have a different result for the next day, next week, next month. And it's having that overall eagle eye perspective that comes from gaining that insight from mentorship. I think if you understand this chapter, you can literally go and change your complete life because you will approach mentorship and accessibility with a certain level of responsibility that I believe is required for you to hit a new level, right? We've read that type of concept from books like not just Go for No, but oh my gosh, by Brian Thomas. I can't remember, about discipline. Our guy Sellis recommended
Brian
the book.
Tracy.
Brian Tracy, yes. Why am I not remembering the name? It had like a clock in the front.
Are you talking about the discipline book?
Yes, it's about discipline. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't remember the title right now. But
Me neither.
but he
It's in the
really,
digital library though.
yeah. Sorry, fam. I apologize. Those who are watching the recording and individuals who did not read that book. Go read it.
You're
But
talking
anyway,
about this one,
No
Marcus.
excuses. The power of discipline.
no excuses. Thank you. Thank you.
This
Thank
one.
you, brother.
Boom.
No excuses. But he says it is not wise or even possible to divorce private behavior from public leadership. I want to repeat this. It is not wise or even possible to divorce private behavior from public leadership. True leadership carries with it the burden of being an example. If values aren't established and adhered to at the top, behavior down is seriously jeopardized and undermined. Indeed, in any organization where such is the case, be it a family, listen, y'all, be it a family, there's a reason why he said that first, a corporation, a society, or a nation, the values being neglected will in time disappear. Out of sight, out of mind. The reason why I love this little section by Gordon B. Hinckley is because there's this there's this myth that you've got to wear different hats in different areas of your life. And what he is saying is that you have to be authentically yourself, and that has to be a high level of integrity and character in order to lead the masses. Period, point blank. Because it will be on display. And as Mikhail has helped me understand and grasp my head about it, because I've always grown up like, I don't give up what y'all think about me. And I could care less about your opinion about what I do or say. You can still maintain that level of understanding and recognize that your perception does matter. How you treat people does matter. How you move on a day-to-day basis does matter. What you do today actually matters. And if you understand that, then there's nothing to hide. You don't have to switch from Marcus at work to Marcus at home to Marcus on a date. I'm Marcus at all times, right? Everybody has these different hats that they wear, but I truly believe if you're authentically true to you at the foundation, you will lead in any industry, in any space, because people will see you not only for what you say, but more so because of what they see. I could give a damn what the talk says. As Amber said, I say this pretty often, and it was quoted by Andrew Carnegie in this book. But it's not about what you see. He's like, the older I get, the less I listen to what is said, and the more I look to what is done. I look at the feet more than I hear your words, because I understand that biblically, your fruits will literally tell you what type of person you are.
Stop.
You can
That's
always
exactly where I stopped at. That's exactly how far I got. And that's exactly what I was about to speak on. That's crazy. That's accurate. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, it's real life. No, but that's real life though, sis, and it's real. It's why I still choose to have relationships with the people I do. It's why I've cut out relationships that no longer serve my purpose or allows me to get to the next level. I've understood that not everybody can go where you're called to go. Some people are designed to help you. I think Tyler Perry, I think he was the one that said this. He was like, imagine, like, when a rocket takes off, once it hits a level of the atmosphere, the boosters fall off, but the rocket still goes. And sometimes the boosters that fall off for the people, for the circumstances and environments that no longer serve you in the current process of your journey. Those boosters only serve the rocket to get into that level of the atmosphere. And sometimes whoever helps you get to where you're at will not be the ones that help you get to where you're going. And it's wild to see that play out in real life, because I'm literally, I'm present in the moment, but I'm seeing how God has formulated, guided, provided, and have helped every single one of us be exactly where we're at today, to essentially step into the tomorrows we've always prayed about. Like, it's not a game. It's not a game at all. And it really comes down to, who do you know and who are you? That was the biggest thing for these chapters, y'all, is who do you know and who are you? Who are you when no one's looking? Who are you when you're struggling? Like, what actually matters to you most? And what actually has your heart? What has your desires? And that will allow people around you to feel you before they even see you. It's wild, bro. When Mikhail steps into a room, people will notice. I've low-key noticed it as well. It's a wild level sense of influence. But it's because we operate and we've done the things that we said we're going to do, and there's no way that we're ever stopping that, because we've agreed and committed to the people that we're becoming and the lifestyle that we're creating. And through that, we remain in student mode. That's why we're okay and willing to go and look and learn and improve based on people who have what we want and have done what it is we are attempting to do. Period, point blank. A couple things I'll touch on, and then I'll pass the mic. Sorry. I just really want to touch on that, because I don't think Chapter 13 is one of the most powerful things I've read from John C. Maxwell, because he's essentially telling you how he became John C. Maxwell. He was like, this is what I did, y'all. You should do it too. And if you have that same mindset, you'll be your own you in the manner that serves the overall community and audience that you were designed and given the calling to steward over, in the manner that people are praying on their knees for some mentorship and guidance in this day and age. So don't allow the significance of that chapter to go over your head. One of the biggest things that stood out to me in chapter 14 is a fact that I kind of knew, but was just wild to see it in numbers because I always thought it was like an 80-20 split. But it says that most experts believe people typically use only 10% of their true potential. Shout out Jason for that recall of that actual visual, literally painting in the corner. And if you understand that if you continuously stay in student mode, expansion is always possible because you're always learning, you'll always be able to apply. Learning is discovering that something is possible. That's by Fritz Perls. And the law of expansion is about learning, growing, and increasing our capacity. How can you grow if you've always done the things that you only know what to do? If you have to challenge yourself to do things that you've never done and in ways that you've never done it in. Like, cool, if you've dieted before, have you ever planned your meals? I'm not saying you have to stop dieting. Have you planned your meals? Have you adjusted the way in which you carried out your game plan? Right? Have you sat and analyzed what's worked and not? And let's start there. You know what I'm saying? And learn how people do that. Like, do they have a schedule that they reference back to? Do they take notes and then read them at the end of the week on what went well, the pros and cons? Like, in order to know how to do more, or excuse me, in order to have more, you have to become more. In order to become more, you've got to do more. In order to do more, you've got to know more. You got to learn more. And everyone thinks like, I don't know why, but if y'all go look at some of the largest moguls in money in the world, they all spend a large adequate time in study. Like I know, I think it's old boy Bill Gates. He'll spend an entire 2 weeks at a cabin completely off the grid. He'll bring books, he'll bring journals, and he will think. As Earl Nightingale says in The Strangest Secret, most people simply just do not think. They don't process. They want things to be told to them and carried out in a silver platter for them. The world is literally belonged to the doers who acted upon the thoughts that they put the mental sweat equity, time, energy, and resources in thinking and being strategic and moving with purpose rather than just activity. As old boy said, the only reason why we know this is we have mentors, right? A lot of the things we would have been done just kept us in a circle. And it did that for some time until we got some other people and they're like, bro, what are y'all doing? And we're like, damn, what are we doing? And it allowed us to gain clarity, y'all. So like environment matters, but it's you've always got to learn. And I feel like some people feel like you get learn it one time and you're done, right? It's because you go to high school one time, then you graduate. They trained you for that type of thought process. Decades of training. You do something, then you're done. When the largest powers on the planet understand that you're continuously growing. We are made in God's image and are God-like. We have favor genuinely. And I don't know how, if everything around us is changing, how we can consider that we can only get to a level and then nothing else is going to change. I got rid of that delusion a long time ago, and it's helped me continuously learn and stay productive on my path. And then chapter 15, I'll let Mikhail cover mostly of, but there was one thing on the law of contribution. I think it was, okay, boom. Jimmy Carter, he says, whatever I have to try to make a difference. Oh, no, sorry. It's the other, let me start over. He says, I have one life and one chance to make it count for something. My faith demands that I do whatever I can. I have one life and one chance to make it count for something. My faith demands that I do whatever I can, wherever I am, whenever I can, for as long as I can, with whatever I have to try to make a difference. That's my life, family. It's all I've ever wanted to do. I want to make an impact to my fam, our communities, those around us, directly, indirectly. And that one quote by Jimmy Carter is everything. My faith will not allow me to not. input, to not give, and to not actually go and do my best to actively change the world around me. My parents always taught me this lesson, right? If you go anywhere, you better leave it better than you found it. You are either impacting and affecting the environment, or the environment is solely impacting and affecting you. And yes, it's a dynamic you have to balance. It's important to get around the environments that have that positive influence. You've got to give your part. You got to give that value. You got to do your thing to serve those around you, so that you can actively make a difference before you're gone. Like, we have one life, as we read earlier. This ain't no dress rehearsal. This is the real thing. You're living it. We're here, right? And then in 10 years, we're gonna look back like that last decade flew by fast. What did you do? Who did you meet? Where'd you go? How did you make a difference? And I believe if you keep that mindset to see, how can I serve? How can I make an impact here? How can I help? How can I be grateful and allow that gratitude and that attitude to leak around others around me, so that they can also have a different perspective? Y'all, it is wild, bro. And I realize I'm operating way outside of the matrix and in somewhere that God is having me. I'm gonna leave it on this little narrative. Yesterday was a wild day for your boy, and I pulled up to a small parking lot on Riverside. And in this small parking lot, I ain't never had issues before in my life trying to just get into a parking spot. It's actually wild, but not once, but two different times. Two adult men, two adult boys, I'm gonna say, got out their car, started cussing at me because I'm about to pull into their parking spot. And I simply roll down my window and I let them know, my bro, there is no need for none of that. I was like, we can communicate. I was like, you're actually wilding, bro. So, my fault, my fault, my fault. And all I said was, God bless. I gave him a smile and I pulled away. I was like, there's a whole other car getting out. I'm smooth. I'm in there. But it's the smallest things. Like, even at that, I guarantee that little interaction that I had, I chose to help them think about their actions. I chose them to look inside of a mirror, that you are tripping on a Friday afternoon for no reason over a parking spot that is owned by the city of Austin. But like, literally, y'all, just do what you can to make a difference in the lives of others. And sometimes it's just helping people think different, see different, do different. Even if it's the smallest little thing, but if you show up to serve, you'll make a whole global difference as each person does the same thing. And shout out that guy. I don't know who referenced to it. I think a couple weeks ago. I think it was Roshizi. She said, "Oh, Michael Jackson, man in the mirror." Right, the difference starts with you. And if you rely on your faith, you got a extremely solid foundation to build upon. So I appreciate y'all for making this book extremely powerful. Shout out Mikhail for twisting my arm and getting the book on the roto in the midst of the schedule. I know I needed it as well. And I appreciate y'all. I'll pass this thing over to Shy Town because she has some thoughts. I appreciate y'all. Much love.
Run me up. Hey guys, what's up? I look crazy. I apologize. Like, it's still early. Well, I as I said last week, I didn't. I'm catching up in the book, so I only made it up to, I guess that's chapter 13, the law of modeling. So thus far, not only has it been impactful and important, but it's just been a strong reminder of the place that I've mentally been in these last few weeks, let alone these last couple months, in finding like peers with like minds, but doing more, doing better in the space that I want to be in, and growing, learning and growing with those peers to be where I want to be in life. And it's been blessings. It's been an impactful journey. Like like Marcus tapped on earlier, one of the quotes from chapter 13 that I really was like, this is how I live my life, was um when I think it's Carnegie, he says, I stop listening to what man says and I start watching what they do. I've modeled that, especially I have older siblings who are like way older than me. I've taken a lot of things that they've done and what I've said I'll never do, or things that passed I don't want to go down, or things like that. And I said, you know what, action speaks louder than words, and who I am. I've modeled who I am and who I want to be off the things that I've not only seen, but the things that I haven't, and just being proactive in the things that you haven't seen. I think it was Mateo earlier who spoke on like people set goals and sometimes they have that like second guess of like, am I really gonna achieve that? But it's just overcoming that thought process and growing out of that. Another thing from that chapter that I definitely related to, and it hit. I think it's a Chinese proverb quote where they were like, if you want to learn about moving forward, ask people who were on the way back, something of that nature. Basically, follow the path of those who already have achieved the goals that you've set or the path that you want to be on, and just model that. Like it obviously works. They obviously got the results. Why not replicate it and find your path through those exact um through that exact route, right? And like again, shout out Marcus and Mikkel because not only do they continue to grow, like I've met them probably a few years ago now, and in that short period of time of knowing them, not only are they family, but I've seen the family that they've continuously built, the consistency in growing, and it's kept me on top of my game and what I need to do in my life. And it's just been an inspiration. They're not judgmental, so it feels comfortable to look awkward and stupid when you're not keeping up with yourself or where you want to be on your path. It's more enlightening and encouraging. So I really appreciate you guys for that. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna finish out this book tonight, but I'm so excited to have this is also an accomplishment. I don't think I've ever read a book this fast. I think it took me consistently in reading time. I think it only took me about a week to read this book, and I think that's the fastest I've ever read any self-empowering or any book for a purpose outside of school. You know what I mean? So I thank y'all for like, just pushing the limits and changing the status quo of what success can look like. Because as you take note, and I think that was one of the points that they tapped on in the book, as you take note of your own journey and your own process, you learn how to grow with yourself. You also learn how to guide and shape and teach others through the paths that you walk for yourself. So it's definitely been a pleasure, and I cannot wait to keep growing with you guys. And shout out everybody on this call because y'all are studious. I see y'all every week I pop on. And, I just started, like I said. So consistency is key, and I can't wait to see y'all at the top because the bottom way too crowded. I'm gonna pass this off to Imani, all right?
Oh, be careful now. Be careful now, girl. Be careful now.
I got it. It's the nails. I was like, let me just hit the button. Thanks. Thank you. Good morning. I think it is. I don't know if it's the afternoon just yet, but it's always a pleasure to be on this call with all of you lovely people. Great take, Chi-Town. I honestly, I'm sad to see this book go, but John Maxwell, hold on, it's gonna come back. John Maxwell. It's always going to be in the roto every single time. Because I think like a few months ago, we were doing the 21 irrefutable laws. Like, I don't know. He's always up in there. And I actually appreciate all of his teaching. So like overall, his books just like layer on to each other on and on. When in chapter 13, yes, in chapter 13, he was talking about like mentorship and how people who can't or have not found a mentor, they start with mentors in books. And that was very powerful. Like very powerful. Like I have been having, I didn't realize it until like really this chapter 13, where I have had mentors my entire life. And I was really grateful for that. I went to the Boys and Girls Club and I had mentors there left and right. And because of that, it put me significantly ahead of, some of my peers who I no longer could, connect with on that level. So having a strong, it's shit like Shy-Town just said, like being around those people who are wanting more, but or I don't know if it's necessarily wanting more, but just reaching their highest potential, being at their highest potential. He talks about how, like, when you're starting off, that you get a mentor who's maybe a couple levels ahead of you. I laughed at that so much because he's like, you don't just go for the CEO right away, and that shows that you're really building. Just like with every single book in book club that we read, it is building layers upon layers of like just knowledge, breaking down barriers, breaking down limiting beliefs. And the more we continue to read these books and let these books guide us and be our mentors, it will guide us in the direction of our highest potential, which is what we should want for ourselves. I know I want it. I know y'all want it, because every Saturday we come to this book club. Every Saturday we come to this book club. So I really did appreciate that. I also liked how he talked about what kinds of mentor like a person wants, and how when you start to when you have a mentor, and he went through multiple ones. And you know what, Marcus and Mikkel, y'all have many times on many calls in the past have brought up how y'all started off with certain mentors, and then, in time didn't work out. Things change, you grow, you change into this person. And I know when I started off with this journey, I was really mentored by audiobooks and podcasts about affirmations. And then I leveled up, and then I leveled up again. So right now I know what I want from a mentor, and I know where to look for that. And because of this chapter, now I know what the questions to ask and how to go about it to find one that actually can like really get me to this next level in the chapter that I'm in. I'm going to skip ahead real quick. Chapter 17, when he talks about service. That's a huge theme in all his books, really. Being of service to people. You can't get to this. Okay, I don't understand it, but I get it too. He even says that, like, I don't get why it's like this, but the more you service people, the more you'll reach what you want. And he talks about how he actually started off originally wanting it for himself, which is powerful, of course. You got to want it for yourself to be able to want it for other people. But somewhere in his studies, in his mentorships, also mentoring people, he started to find that servicing people was actually, it was just more empowering for him, more uplifting. And that by him helping to change other people's lives, he then, elevated his life. All for servicing people. Who would have thought? You know, um, chapter 15. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have my notes open right now, and I have no clue what. Somebody, please, quick. What was the chapter on? I know it.
Well, you just spoke on chapter 15 because there's only 15 chapters.
No, 13, 14. Okay, what was chapter 14?
It's a good
Oh my
question.
god. Okay, it's fine.
I believe it
I
was the
can't.
law of expansion in 14. 13 was modeling, 14 was expansion,
And then the
and
other
I
one
don't
was
know what's after that. I ain't get that
You know,
far.
it's okay, y'all. I'm grateful for the
yeah,
book, as usual.
expansion.
It's expansion. Okay,
It's
great. Anyways, I'm just gonna skip ahead now. So we're ending this book off. I hope John Maxwell is in another one of the rotos for this week or this year, because I'll be there. But yeah. Anyway, so going back to like the expansion. Dang, he said a really good quote. It's okay. I can't get it right now, and that's fine. I'm happy I read the book. I want to read it again. Honestly, all these books that we read, I just want to read them all over again, because I feel like now that we're about to go to Rich Dad Poor Dad next week, that's gonna be my third time reading. All because of y'all. That's just y'all, because now it's sunk in really well the second time. So I don't know what's gonna happen for the third time. We're gonna see, but we at the top, so I'm chilling up here. Thank you. I will see y'all next week.
Money,
You
I
got
just
it,
want
Mr.
to say I
Stewart. You
love you,
got it,
bro.
Mr. Stewart.
I just want to say I love you, bro. You're the greatest. Truly, you bring me like real life joy. Like not like for play joy, like real life joy every single Saturday, bro. I really appreciate you. But nah, man, this discussion has been A1. I've been literally trying to like reconfigure my notes as we've been going through the call because everybody keeps saying everything that I had written down and stuff. So give me a second. I'm gonna swap over to my computer and we're gonna give it in. One sec. What up, though? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening, GG? Yeah, y'all. So one, this book is freaking amazing. You know what I'm saying? Shout out God. Truly. No lie, y'all are making me a little emotional while I was listening to everybody. Just because it's like, bro, this is literally that part in I don't remember which chapter it was right now, but he talked about the process of him like building the John Maxwell leadership team. Like, dude, I literally remember being like, yo, I can't stand how this stuff is when it comes to community building and people coaching and just how people are in the industry that we were in. And I was like, yo, I really want to create something that's like different, but I can only mentor a few people at a time. So we literally need to create some type of system. And the system that we've been able to create, and every time I go to send out a push notification and the amount of people that I send out that push notification to literally blows my mind every single time. I'm truly grateful for everybody just showing up, everybody continuously pouring in, everybody continuously developing as leaders, as people. It's honestly the greatest. And this book really puts it into perspective for me just because, like, we're doing the right things, y'all. And it's honestly sometimes it's like unbelievable. It's like that little voice somebody was talking about earlier. Like, can I really do this? It's like, is this really happening? Because everything that we be saying was real life in this book. And we never read this book before. I literally read the first page, y'all, the intro, and was like, Marcus, I had a conversation with somebody on the team, another conversation with somebody else. And bro, we need to read this first. He was like, bro, I don't know, bro. We've already, and it was like a whole thing. We had to call somebody from outside the circle and be like, hey, what y'all think? This book or that book, both plead our cases. Like, it was something serious, y'all. And truly, to turn around and see the impact the last 4 or 5 weeks have had, it's definitely been surreal. So, truly grateful. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, he didn't send me that link. Truly grateful, man. But let me get into this thing. So, 11:25. All right, yeah, I'm in the wrong part. Let me just go into the thing. Boom. All right, starting in the beginning. So I just really quick wanted to honestly point out a few bars that I had seen just because everything else really got touched on. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, y'all, everybody on here read the book. If you watch this recording and you get to my voice and you stay for this whole thing, read this damn book. Like real life. It truly is a game changer. But there was one part that was big. Honestly, for me, I've lived my life by a few different quotes. One of them I learned from my mom way back in the day. She said, find somebody who has what you want, do what they do, get what they have. And so early on, I started to look for people in my life that could literally just figure out or show me how to figure out life ultimately. And came upon one of those people when I joined the network marketing industry. And while honestly, I'm gonna just read this part and then I'm gonna connect the dots because you can really connect dots looking backwards, not forwards. Bar. But he said, I've had the privilege of connecting with many leaders whose modeling I have found worthy of imitation. People such as Zig Ziglar, Fred Smith, Coach John Wooden helped him tremendously. Then this next part. Others who looked better from a distance than they actually were when I got to know them turned out to be disappointments. which just goes to show you that you must be selective when it comes to choosing mentors and models. I smile every time I think of the two derelicts sunning themselves on a park bench. The first guy said, "The reason I'm here is because I refuse to listen to anyone." The second guy responded, "The reason I'm here is because I listen to everyone."
I
Of
love that.
course, bar. Neither course of action is helpful. You must be selective in who you choose as a mentor. From both the positive and the negative experiences I've had with mentors, I have developed a criteria to determine the worthiness of a model for me to follow. So, and then he goes on to share them with us, which Imani pointed out as well. That was big for me because, like, y'all, the slogan behind TGF, like our saying, "It's not what you do, it's who you do it with." It's literally explaining that, like this is literally what we're talking about here. And it's literally what we based everything that we've been doing upon. Oh, hold on, my younger brothers. What's up, bro? It's all good. I'm on a call, so I was gonna tell you the same thing. All right, bet. Bye. That man answered and said, "I gotta take a call. Hold on." We be busy in my family. But in that though, as he went through that, it literally it's not what you do it with. It's not what you do, it's who you do it with that matters. And that is what he's talking about. But ultimately, in my personal journey, I got started in entrepreneurship, met a guy whose life looked crazy, and I did absolutely everything he said for 360, really about a little less than 1,000 days. I was about 100 days shy of 1,000 days of listening to every single thing this man said. And ultimately, when I got my head out of my butt and I looked up, I realized that I had been doing some unethical things. I had been realizing that I had been honestly leading the wrong way. And I just realized that I was completely disappointed in the person that I wanted to become versus the success that I had created because they didn't match. There was a sense of fulfillment that wasn't there, even though I had had so much fun, even though I'd been doing the right things. It reminded me of an illustration that I seen the other day where it was like a guy talking to this lion. Lion, it said God, guy, it said me. And it's like, God, I worshiped every Sunday and led worship. And he was like, you did that to perform. And then he was like, God, I literally helped people get closer to you. He said, you did that for your own fulfillment. And in these moments, like it literally just reminded me of the beginning of my journey when I had to find myself. So, pro tip, bonus bar, before you go finding a mentor, find out who the hell you are, period. Do the personal work. And as you do the personal work and get clarity upon who you want to become, then you go find somebody that matches that description, period. Because ultimately, I did not have that in the beginning. And I went through some years of trying to find it as well. And ultimately, it just brought me back to another point when I look at marriages. And y'all know if you guys are married people or engaged people, or if you guys have been around me and watch me give this note to somebody, I have this thing that I do with married people, whether they're newlyweds or been married for a while. I always ask everybody for a pro tip on marriage. What's their biggest lesson that they've learned? If they look like they've been through a few, I'll ask them, where was your biggest pitfall? If they look like they've been married happily ever after, I'd ask them, what's the best thing that you ever did for your marriage? Or what's one thing that you felt just set your relationship apart? And I've held this note for now going upon 8.5 years. And I've just added to it with every single couple that I've met. And sometimes I'll send this out, I gift it to new married couples that I meet whenever they're like newly engaged or married. And it's like my thing to really help men, like, yo, here's a resource to help you figure this shit out, because ain't nobody teach me how to do this. You know what I'm saying? My mom didn't really have the greatest marriage in the world. She had a good marriage overall, but in the middle, everything looks like a failure. And that was also something that was talked about in the book. In the process, everything looks like a failure, but you can really only connect the dots looking backwards and see how everything helps you get to where you are. And ultimately, it's like when I look at the mentors, the process of development that I've gone through, working with the wrong people, working with some of the right people, learning different skills, creating different resources, partnering up with different people, contracts that either were validated or weren't validated, the whole nine. We've been through it over the last few years. But A to Z, it's literally helped me develop this like inner kind of like a filter, like if you ain't getting through these filters, I'm not working with you. And I don't care how successful you are. I don't care what you've got going on. I don't care how much you want to work with me. I don't care how much one of my friends know you. I don't care about none of that. If you don't meet my criteria, I'm not working with you, and I'm definitely not going to learn from you because I know exactly where I want to go. I know exactly who I want to be. I know exactly what I want to do. And I'm just allowing God to help me adjust in the process, not allowing God, excuse me, creating that space so that God can let me adjust in the process. But ultimately, in this journey of success and in this journey of growth and this journey of personal development, I say a few things that were just like outlined in these chapters. And one, like when it comes to chapter 15, I'm kind of bouncing around. Chapter 15 was all about servitude, really, when it comes to being a coach. And ultimately, y'all, I literally say this all the time. You do it once you learn, and then you teach it. He or she who teaches learns twice. And when he talked about this process of development, as you continuously expand, as you continuously grow, and as you continuously serve others, Tia, you right in my camera, boo. It's all good. But in that, my wife ain't got no pants on. I thought that. I'm saying we outside, we at home. Okay. But in that though, it honestly, it rang so many bells in my head because I was like, yo, we are one doing this thing right, but there also are key flags to be able to look for as you continuously grow. And one thing is like, yo, to know the road, ask those who are coming back. It's real life. But that was a bar that I had to read 3 times before I really got it and it cemented in my face. I was like, dang, that can go both ways. It's people who are coming back either had a great time or they didn't make it. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the two. There's 4 ifs that make life worthwhile. Shout out my man, Jim Rohn, Uncle Jimmy, real quick. The first if I quote it all the time, it's if you learn, you can learn one of 2 ways, either from your experiences or somebody else's. That's why majority of people start off in the success journey learning from different books, learning from other people's experiences, but also learning in their own experiences. It's literally what makes up life. You can shortcut your learning curve if you just actually read these books, if you actually go and network with the people who have what you want instead of continuously wasting time with the people that don't have what you want. I understand we have friends and family that are guilty by association. It's all good. You can spend your time with them, just not all of it. Like, go be intentional and live your life with a purpose because you get one chance. And if you don't do anything, was it worth it? And the only way that you'll do something is if you go find somebody who did something and have them teach you how, period. So in that, there was just some things to literally just keep in mind as we really all go through this whole process. But when he talked about things that a good mentor has, I loved those as well. Good mentor provides friendship and support. It just lets me know that like we were, like I said, Joe, it's been like we've been on point. I'm not trying to like pat ourselves on the back, but it feels good to know that you're on the right path, truly, and that you're learning from like good people, learning the right things, doing the right things. Y'all, he literally says a coach remains something or someone who carries a valued person from where they are to where they want to be. Y'all go read TGF's statement. There's a value session I did a year ago where I told y'all, go figure out your statement. You know what I'm saying? It's real life. Our statement is literally in John Maxwell's book. He wrote it before we did, which is crazy because we didn't even read this. Like literally first time. It's honestly wild. And so much synchronicities were blowing my mind. But when he talked about what a coach is and the common characteristics, I love this because as I was reading it, I was like, these are amazing to look for in a person. But also I want to make sure that my people know to like make sure that they look to be this as well for their people, not just find this. And then the next paragraph is him saying those exact words. I was like, oh, John, he be giving me the feels inside, bro. No lie. That man be making me happy. But in my opinion, good coaches, great coaches share 5 common characteristics. They care for people. They care for the people that they coach. Notice that that has nothing to do with the transactional value behind whatever the coaching is behind. Period. This is not a paycheck. This is not a skill set. You just care. Period. You got to love your people. From there, they observe their attitudes, behavior, and performance. That's a huge thing to look for in a coach. If they're not actually observing you, then they don't really care. Let's circle back to one of those 4 ifs that make everything worthwhile. Shout out Jim Rohn. He said it before John said it. The 4th if is if you care. If you care a little bit, you'll have little results. If you care a lot, you'll have a lot of results. Also said that on a value session a year ago. Third, COA. Align them with their strengths for peak performance. This one is huge. Like when it comes to coaching people, if you do not know your people's strengths, you cannot put them in position to win. Period. You can hope they're in the position to win. You can pray they're in the position to win, but you can't put them in the position to win if you don't know their strengths. Period. So as a coach, considering I'm talking to people who I know be coaching other people in your life, know these things, understand these things, live through these things, practice these things intentionally. You got to align your people with their strengths. One of the main reasons when Amber first started off and when she first got into the squad, we were like, hey, yo, we low-key want you to start kind of leading this empowerment sector, especially with all the women. Why? We knew that she wanted to be a women's coach. Period. She's like been in this whole energy since she first got started. And we made sure that she was in the spaces and connected with the people. And then from there, the rest was up to her. We can't work for you, but we can put you in position and know your strengths. Period. And shout out to her. She's been doing her thing, running an amazing coaching business over this past year and developing as a coach. I guess it's been like 2 years. I don't even know how long it's been. It's been a minute, but we outside. It's definitely been 2 years since change almost. But in that, C, communicate and give feedback about their performance. This is so hard to do sometimes, y'all. You know what I'm saying? As a coach, because you don't be wanting to like step on people's toes. And then other times you are so like your soul is low key just annoyed that you're just blunt as hell and transparent. And it's really hard to find that even keel mixture of being able to communicate in a way that a person can receive the feedback. So 2 lessons there in that bar. Not only one, be open to having the hard conversations and communicating effectively, but also 2, be open to hearing that communication, having that space. Like if you call somebody a mentor or a coach, give them that space to be able to actually provide you back that constructive criticism, or else what are you being coached for? Period. So in that, if you are confident in that person's skills, in that person's experience, in that person's wisdom, literally listen to what they're telling you and then move forward and go act on it. And as he talked about, don't think more, do more, and think about what works more. Don't think more work, period. Think about what's working, you know what I'm saying? And actually go and apply these things. And it just gets easier, simpler. And then the last H of coach, help them to improve their lives and performance. It's that second to last part for me. Performance will be improved by repetition, unless you're just literally crazy. You know what I'm saying? So if you continuously do the same thing over and over and expect a different result, you wild. But if you continuously tweak and adjust like champions do, you will become a champion, period. It's inevitable. But when it comes to helping somebody improve their life, that cannot be done unless you actually care for somebody, unless you actually get to know their strengths and their weaknesses, unless you actually observe their attitudes and their behaviors and how it affects their performance. And then you actually put them in those positions to win. Like all of that, when it comes to coaching, it's not only one to be thinking about like that, like, who do I look for in a coach, but like be coachable, be teachable, be a pleasure to work with. And your coach will find you, period. They will ask you if you want them to coach you. They will tell you, hey, I got you with whatever you need. And then you just got to listen and ask a follow-up like Marcus did for me. Hey, you sure? Are you serious? Or are you playing? Because I need a lot, low key. You know what I'm saying? You just got to be transparent about where you are. And so honestly, it was dope because like this next bar talked about, self-evaluation is helpful, but evaluation from someone else is essential if you're actually going to become the person that you want to be. Because the person that you want to become, you are looking at them. You know what I'm saying? Therefore, if you want to become that, the only way that you'll truly know is if you get somebody to look at you and tell you that you are what they see and what you saw. You know what I'm saying? So you've got to communicate those things. You've got to share those values, and you've got to actually grow a relationship and be open to even hearing those things and creating that type of bond. So there's a whole process when it comes to being a coach. And ultimately, I love it. And I just talked about it actually yesterday on my story. And it's crazy because it was honestly before I read that part of the book. But I talked about it yesterday with my life coach. I have a life coach that I've been seeing now for, it's coming up on 2 months or so, almost 3 months. And the process has been amazing, bro. Like, it's actually been amazing. I'm so excited. Your boy's literally about a month and a half away out from actually officially getting certified as a life coach as well. Your boy gonna have some letters after his name, quit playing with me. Real life accreditation, not a game, not for play, for real, for real. So yeah, it's different. It's truly different. And throughout all elements of your life, you have to find coaches. You want to be a better husband, a better wife, a better mother, a better sister, a better daughter, a better brother, a better uncle, a better business person, better in your health, better in your spirit. You need a coach, whether they be a pastor, whether they be a physical coach, whether they be a business coach, whether they be a life coach, whether they be a spiritual coach, whatever the case may be, you need somebody, period. I love this poem that was broken down in here as well. I don't remember where it was from, but I took this down. Nobody is a whole chain. Each one is a link. But take away one link and the chain is broken. Nobody is a whole team. Each one is a player. But take away one player and the game is forfeited. Nobody is a whole orchestra. Each one is a musician. But take away one musician and the symphony is incomplete. You guessed it. We need each other. You need someone and someone needs you. Isolated islands we are not. To make this thing called life work, we got to lean and support and relate and respond and give and take and confess and forgive and reach out and embrace and release and rely. Since none of us is a whole, independent, or self-sufficient, super capable, or all-powerful hotshot, let's quit acting like we are and understand that life's lonely without our playing that silly role. The game's over, let's link up. It's real life. But as Marcus always says, you're not meant to go through crap alone. When you've had a hard day, call somebody. When you're going through the dirt of life, call somebody. Literally, like, utilize your community. It's one thing that we talk about often. It's one thing that I love that Jason spoke about earlier. Like, we literally do this thing together. And so there were just a few little baselines at the end of this coaching period. He talked about who mentors you and offers a baseline of wisdom, who mentors you to aspire to be a better person, who challenges you to think, who cheers on your dreams, who cares enough to rebuke you, who is merciful when you have failed, who shares the load and pressurized moments without being asked, who brings fun and laughter into your life, who gives you perspective when you become dispirited, who inspires you to seek faithfully after God, and who loves you unconditionally. That right there, I can think of a few people who match the description. You know what I'm saying? Shout out my dog over there getting it in the gym. Definitely fits the description for your boy, each and every single sentence. But in that, y'all, one, before you even get to like thinking about like, who's my person? Y'all, think of all your people that match each and every one of those sentences. And if I was you, I would literally just prep a text message and tell them thank you today out loud. If you could, prep a voice message. Hey, real quick, I just want to let your ass know I love you, boy. You know what I'm saying? That's all it's needed. Period. Hey, thank you for being that person who always cheers me up when I got shit going on. That's all that's needed, literally. You don't know when somebody needs those moments. I made my younger brother break down tears yesterday. It was crazy. I was like, dude, I'm on the phone with my mom. I'm like, yo, I love you, nigga. I just want to let you know. I said, hey, can you look at me for a second? He said, yeah, what's up, bro? He's 5 years younger than me, dreads, head and shit. He's like, yeah, what's up, bro? I'm like, nigga, I just want to let you know. I love you all my soul, little bro. And it gets really hard living 1,000 miles away from my younger brother, the only person who came out the same womb as me. So I love you, dude. And I just want to let you know that I shoot the shit out of somebody for you, bro. I will go to jail for your ass. So you let me know what's good always. But just understand, bro, you always got a place you can go. You always got a number you can call. And you always got a brother who's praying for you. And that literally, he turned around and he was like, bro, I don't even know why that got me emotional. He was like, dude, I ain't never felt this type of way. He's like, bro, I don't even be tripping about shit most of the time, but thank you. And I was like, dude, of course, man, because I know this life, it gets lonely and it gets hard. And there's stuff that happens in all of our life all the time. So literally just express gratitude. And when you express gratitude, it helps you care even more. I'm telling you, and it'll just do more for you. It'll help you get into action even more. I love the same quote too by Jimmy Carter. He did snap, bro. I ain't gonna read it again. But this last one was huge for me because in this past year, I have definitely. Oh, there's one last. I got two things left to talk about. One thing though, I've definitely struggled with this lesson in network marketing. Let's just talk about it real quick. One of the reasons why I'm so over the industry of network marketing because of this little part, and it's a little mindset issue that I honestly think that can be fixed, but people would have to read this book. We can't have the whole industry read this book. But fourth rule on a page that I don't remember which one it was because it doesn't have a page number right here, but it says don't let people own you. And this was huge. I really had to learn this year and like start letting people go. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you start to claim people as family and you're doing a whole bunch of people and the whole nine. It's like, it's just different. I felt it on both ends of the spectrum as like one being a person that people felt like they owned. And then also, I know that in my life, I've also made a couple people feel this way. And I definitely did not ever mean to do that. I never had any intentions to do that either. But it was something serious. I just want to read y'all this little quick part. So he said, John Maxwell was basically scraping to get by at the time before his life really hit the next level. And there was a 2-year period where he was friends with a couple that was just very well off financially. And each weekend they would take John and his wife out to eat and they pay for the meal. Basically, over those 2 years, he received many wonderful benefits of this friendship. Let's just say that. And they were very grateful. And after 3 years in that position, he got an offer to become the leader of a larger church. It was a tremendous opportunity with great advancement and potential. So when he announced that he would be leaving to take it, the guy he'd become friends with was not pleased. And he said he'll never forget his words. He said, "John, how can you leave after all that I have done for you?" It was in that moment that I realized Jack was starting to slowly own me. He was keeping score, and I had no idea. It was a wake-up call. That was the day I made a choice. I would always try to forgive more than I received in relationships, and I would never keep score. From that day forward, I never let any one of my leaders pick up the check at a restaurant. I would be on the giving side of life whenever possible. Obviously, I still receive from others, but I didn't want to give away control of my life. It's hard to give yourself away when someone else owns you. I wanted to be able to value people with no strings attached. A giving life should be liberating to yourself and to those you help. Then he said, I consider the success of my day based on the seeds I sow, not the harvest I reap. Bars. I have definitely, so I had an instance earlier this year where I literally said those exact same words to somebody that dude said to him. And I was like, bro, how could you just kind of play me to the left like this after everything that I've done for you? And while situationally, it was a little different, like overall, it was the exact same mindset. You know what I'm saying? Dang, I'm just now seeing your comment, Imani, and you crack me up, bro. Just let me quoting that all day. Ooh, John. But that's total off brand for a second. Back to it though. But with that though, like, yo, I've really had a problem with this. And I learned how to do this in network marketing. You end up doing so much for people that you think that they have this sense of like moral obligation to you and whatever you've got going on and your ideas and your visions and your ideals. And ultimately, bro, don't nobody owe you shit. Marcus don't owe me nothing. Actually, me and Marcus own a business 50% together. Marcus, you owe me a little bit. But everybody else, don't none of y'all owe me nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. We volunteer. Everybody else other than me and Marcus, volunteer army. We volunteered together and put our names on paper. Therefore, we owe each other a lot of work ethic, communication, and transparency, period. And we got to split every check that we make when it comes to business. But everybody else, listen, y'all don't owe me or him or anybody else anything at all whatsoever. And it took me a while to understand that in the form of network marketing, because you build an organization and then you feel like you own your organization because it's literally the business that pays you. But ultimately, it's a volunteer army. And I had no idea that. And I didn't really realize that as well. And as I've started to realize that lesson, I really just started to give up to go up and let people do their own thing. And God bless them, whether they're here, whether they're there. It's all good. I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. And as he said, I'm just starting not to keep track of anything in my life at all whatsoever. I don't care if I get your ass a coat. I don't care if I send your ass $1, if I spend 2 hours on the phone with you. I don't care what it is. Like, I'm literally just sowing seeds. And I think that right there is why I literally can go to sleep every day knowing that I did my absolute best each and every single day, because my absolute best is not reaping rewards. My absolute best is sowing seeds, period. Falling in love with the process of progress rather than the actual progress itself. So in that, I'm grateful for where we at. Last thing I want to touch on, honestly, will lead me right into this next book, is when he talked about the law of expansion. He said, stop asking yourself or telling yourself, I can't do this, and start asking yourself, how can you do it? And one of the first times I ever heard that bar was from my man, Robert Kiyosaki, saying, I can't afford this. Don't say that anymore. Say, how can I afford it? How can I afford it? We were at the mall the other day. Brooklyn said she wanted something. I ain't got the extra bag for that. I was like, Tia, I was about to say something. I was prepping my response because I be thinking about my words these days. And then Tia was like, no, baby, it's too expensive. I was like, skirt, let's change that word. Let's just say either we're going to go get it later or we can't get it today. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. Let's just talk about the facts and let's move forward with progression, even in the words that we speak, because it's all about the perception of your reality. If it's too expensive, it'll always be too expensive. But if you can't afford it right now, you might be able to afford it tomorrow. And if my baby wants it, I'm going to go get it, period. So in that, we're going to figure out how can we afford this. So I'm excited to transition into financial literacy as well and cement some of these things. I heard Imani talk about it. She was like, yo, it's my third time reading the book. Yo, I remember where you were at financially when you first read the book. I remember where you were at financially when you second time you read the book. And I'm excited to see what this third one do, because I've been seeing how you get on the calls and how your energy shows up these days. And it's different, period. So with that, literally, like you said earlier, like I have a rule I live by. It's not about who can read the most books. It's about who can read the right books the most times. And I love the fact that Chi-Town pointed out the fact that she sped read through this thing. That means you caught value, sis. That means you are loving your personal growth, sis. That means you are loving the process. You love the story. You love the value. Literally, like that. There's no better feeling than when you like are just in a book, bro, and it's just giving you the guts. And you're like, yes, this is greatness. There's no feeling like it at all. It doesn't matter if you're reading fiction, personal development, whatsoever. So welcome to the good side, sis. It gets fun. No lie, it gets really fun. But in that, y'all, I'm excited to really go over this next book, because like this, for me, I think this will be my fourth or fifth time read this thing. And ultimately, it just re-cements things that I've forgotten about since the last time we read it, each and every time. And if you dial in these actual principles, just like Rich Dad Poor Dad versus Richest Man in Babylon, and actually apply them as soon as possible into your life, literally your growth becomes insane, and you start to actually recognize, like, yo, I make money different. I'm starting to move different. My results are different, and it's because your thinking is different. So I'm excited, y'all. Please, 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 please invite a new person. I be inviting new people on here every week. These niggas just don't show up sometimes. I don't want to tell you, but it's all good. The purpose is continuously invite them. It's repetition. Eventually, you're going to catch them on a Saturday when they hop right on the call. And as soon as they do, they're going to get the sauce that was absolutely necessary. This book that we're about to read, I truly think that it can change any and everybody's paradigm to go from just surviving to actually thriving, because it helps them change the way that they think. So with that, go find some of your Pope friends. Like I'm going to go find some of my Pope friends. Let's introduce them to our rich dad. Let's get it cracking. I love y'all. And happy Saturday. God bless. And I'll see y'all soon.